The summer of 1943 brought an ominous calm to the Eastern Front. After the devastating defeat at Stalingrad, the Wehrmacht sought to regain the initiative. Their gaze fell upon the Kursk salient, a vast bulge in the Soviet lines. This strategic anomaly presented both a tempting target and a formidable challenge. German High Command, under Hitler's direct influence, planned Operation Citadel. This ambitious offensive aimed to encircle and destroy large Soviet forces. It was envisioned as a decisive blow, intended to cripple the Red Army permanently. Preparations for Citadel were immense, involving a massive concentration of German armor. New Panther tanks, formidable and heavily armored, were deployed. The powerful Tiger tanks, already proven in combat, were also amassed. Ferdinand tank destroyers, with their thick frontal armor, joined the assault formations. These new machines represented the pinnacle of German military engineering. The Soviets, however, were not idle. Their intelligence network had provided crucial warnings about the impending attack. Stalin and the Stavka understood the gravity of the situation. They decided against a preemptive strike, opting instead for a deep, layered defense. This was a calculated risk, a gamble on the strength of their fortifications. Over several months, the Red Army transformed the Kursk salient into an impregnable fortress. Miles of anti-tank ditches were dug with tireless effort. Extensive minefields, stretching for kilometers, were laid. Barbed wire entanglements crisscrossed the landscape. Thousands of artillery pieces were meticulously positioned. Anti-tank guns, both towed and self-propelled, formed deadly traps. Infantry units dug in, creating a labyrinth of trenches and bunkers. Reserve armies were strategically placed behind the main defensive belts. The sheer scale of these defensive preparations was unprecedented. Every soldier understood the importance of holding their ground. The air buzzed with anticipation, a tense quiet before the storm. Operation Citadel was initially scheduled for May, but was repeatedly delayed. These delays, driven by Hitler's desire for more new tanks, proved costly. They granted the Soviets invaluable time to further strengthen their defenses. By early July, the German forces were finally ready. Field Marshal Günther von Kluge commanded Army Group Center's Northern Pinzer. General Oberst Hermann Hoth led the 4th Panzer Army in the southern sector. Their objective was to meet in the center, trapping the Soviet forces. The attack began on July 5th, 1943, under the cover of darkness. German artillery barrages shattered the morning stillness. Thousands of shells rained down on Soviet positions. Ground trembled under the thunderous explosions. Then, the tanks rolled forward, a seemingly endless tide of steel. In the northern sector, the German 9th Army faced fierce resistance. General Konstantin Rokossovsky's Central Front held firm. The terrain, heavily fortified, slowed the German advance. Soviet anti-tank defenses proved devastatingly effective. Many German tanks were destroyed before reaching the main lines. The fighting was brutal, often devolving into close-quarters combat. Infantry battled infantry in the trenches. Artillery duels raged across the fields. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of cordite. Despite heavy losses, the Germans pressed on relentlessly. They managed to penetrate the first defensive belt in some areas. However, their progress was agonizingly slow. The initial breakthroughs were far from decisive. The southern sector saw even more intense fighting. General Nikolai Vatutin's Voronezh front bore the brunt of the German assault. Hoth's 4th Panzer Army, with its elite panzer divisions, pushed hard. Germans achieved deeper penetrations here, threatening to break through. Soviet tank armies were committed to counter the advance. The vast plain around Prokhorovka became the stage for an epic clash. On July 12, 1943, the largest tank battle in history erupted. Thousands of tanks, both German and Soviet, converged. The ground shook with the roar of engines and the clang of steel. Tanks maneuvered, seeking advantageous firing positions. Shells ricocheted off armor, sending sparks flying. Flames engulfed disabled vehicles, turning them into fiery wrecks. Crews fought desperately, often to the last man. The sheer scale of the engagement was almost incomprehensible. Visibility was reduced by smoke and dust. Commanders struggled to maintain control amidst the chaos. The battle raged for hours, a maelstrom of destruction. Soviet T-34 tanks, though individually less powerful than Tigers, fought with courage. Their numerical superiority and aggressive tactics proved crucial. German Panthers, while formidable, suffered from mechanical issues. The close-quarters fighting negated the long-range advantage of German guns. Soviet anti-tank artillery continued to inflict heavy casualties. The skies above Kursk were also a battleground. Soviet and German air forces engaged in massive dogfights. Control of the air was vital for reconnaissance and ground support. Pilots displayed incredible bravery, often flying multiple sorties a day. The ground war and air war were inextricably linked. After days of relentless fighting, the German offensive began to falter. Their casualties mounted, and their armored spearheads lost momentum. The Soviet defenses, though battered, had held. Hitler, facing the Allied invasion of Sicily, ordered a halt to Citadel. This decision marked the strategic defeat of the German offensive. The initiative on the Eastern Front irrevocably passed to the Red Army. The Battle of Kursk was not just a defensive victory. It was followed by powerful Soviet counteroffensives. In the northern sector, Operation Kutuzov began on July 12, 1943. This counteroffensive targeted the German 2nd Panzer Army. Soviet forces pushed westward, liberating Orel. The Germans were forced to retreat, abandoning their gains. The Red Army demonstrated its growing offensive capabilities. In the southern sector, Operation Polkovodets-Rumyantsev commenced on August 3, 1943. This massive offensive aimed at Belgorod and Kharkov. Soviet tank armies, now on the attack, moved swiftly. The Germans fought fiercely to defend their positions. However, the Red Army's numerical and material superiority was overwhelming. Belgorod was liberated on August 15. Kharkov, a key industrial city, fell on August 23rd. This marked the end of the Battle of Kursk and its associated counteroffensives. The Battle of Kursk was a turning point in World War II. It shattered the myth of German invincibility. The Wehrmacht never again launched a major strategic offensive on the Eastern Front. The Red Army proved its ability to conduct complex defensive and offensive operations. The battle exacted a terrible toll on both sides. Thousands of tanks were destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of lives were lost. The scale of human suffering was immense. The vast fields of Kursk became a graveyard for men and machines. The victory at Kursk paved the way for subsequent Soviet advances. It demonstrated the resilience and determination of the Soviet people. The battle remains a testament to the brutal realities of modern warfare. Its legacy continues to be studied by military historians. The courage displayed by soldiers on both sides was extraordinary. The strategic implications were profound, shifting the balance of power. The Eastern Front would remain the primary theater of war. The road to Berlin, though long, began to open. Sacrifices made at Kursk were immense. The memory of the battle endures. It stands as a stark reminder of the costs of conflict. The summer of 1943 changed the course of the war. The Soviet Union emerged stronger. Germany's hopes for victory faded. The world watched as the tide turned. Largest tank battle left an indelible mark. The fields of Kursk whispered tales of valor. The echoes of battle faded into history. The victory was hard-won. The future of Europe was shaped. The Red Army's triumph was undeniable. The German war machine was broken. The path to victory was clearer. The world remembered Kursk. The battle's significance cannot be overstated. It was a pivotal moment. The scale of the conflict was unprecedented. The human cost was staggering. The strategic consequences were far-reaching. The battle's name resonates through time. It symbolizes resilience. It represents sacrifice. It embodies a turning point. The summer heat was oppressive. The dust rose in clouds. The sky was often obscured by smoke. The roar of engines was constant. The cries of men filled the air. The ground was churned by tank tracks. The landscape was scarred by explosions. The silence after battle was deafening. The wounded lay where they fell. The dead were counted in the thousands. The victory was celebrated. The losses were mourned. The world moved on, but Kursk remained. A battle was a crucible. It forged new heroes. It tested the limits of endurance. It defined a generation. The strategic initiative was seized. The momentum shifted decisively. The German war effort was crippled. The Soviet Union gained confidence. The Allied cause was strengthened. The battle's lessons are still relevant. The bravery of the soldiers was immense. The scale of the destruction was vast. The outcome was critical. The turning point was clear. The battle's legacy is enduring. The fields of Kursk hold many secrets. The history books record the events. The human spirit was tested. The will to fight prevailed. Future was altered. The world would never be the same. The battle was a testament to human will. The strategic genius was evident. The sacrifices were not in vain. The victory was a beacon of hope. The war continued, but the end was in sight. The Battle of Kursk, a true titan.